Okay, I'd like to start going over the answers to these. Ask me any questions. If there's anything that comes up you don't understand, that way I can explain to everybody. So for number one, determine if an action is profitable. The ratio of cost to benefit should be, when you see the word ratio, you want to think of dividing cost divided by sales. So do you want this to be greater than 1, equal to 1, less than 1? Less than 1, why? Okay, exactly. So if your cost is more than your sales, you're not going to be making a profit. So this is the correct answer. Okay, 3 prime costs in the food and beverage industry are food, beverage, and labor costs. Anybody have an issue with that one? It's the name of the class. It's our prime cost, what we're focusing on. Okay. In our restaurant, if our sales are less than the expenses, we are operating at a loss. If our expenses are more than we're collecting in sales. Okay. So if our restaurant served 550 guests in a dining room with 170 seats, seat turnover for the night, calculate that by dividing the total number of guests by the number of seats. So it would be 550 guests divided by 170 seats, and should get 3.2 with that. Okay, so number 5. How many guests are required to earn a profit of $100,000? Our average sales price per unit is $11.50. Fixed cost is equal to $350,000, and our contribution rate is 0.450. Anybody get an answer for this? Confident? Okay, so this is the formula that we're using. The number of guests required is going to be equal to the fixed cost plus the profit divided by the average contribution margin. Okay, so we can see fixed cost is 350,000 and profit is 100,000. So we can figure out that part. How do we figure out the average contribution margin? Okay, exactly. So the average sales price of $11.50, we're going to multiply that by the contribution rate of 0.450. And that comes out to $5.18. So then to get our final answer, we divide fixed cost plus profit, which is 450,000, by the $5.18. And we get an answer of 86,873. We always round that number up because this is counting how many people we need to come in. This is probably the most intricate problem that we'll have on the test. Yes. Wait, the average contribution margin? Yes, because let's see if we did. Yeah, I think it's, if you do that, I'll be able to figure out what you did. So, I'll give you credit for that, but normally I would do that. Okay. The 4 steps in the control process in order. Establish standards and standard procedures. Train employees on the standards. Monitor employee performance and then take corrective action. Yes. Yes. List them in order. Wait, why is there what? In number, wait. Oh, typo. This is a very awkward keyboard to sit at. Okay, question 7. The steak in our restaurant sells for $32. The food cost is $12. What is the food cost percent for the steak? Formula is food cost percent is equal to food cost divided by sales. So the $12 divided by $32 gives you 37.5%. So you notice on the right-hand side of each one of these, I'm telling you how many decimal points I want in the answer. Okay, so calculate variable rate. You're given the variable cost and given sales. So you divide the variable cost by the sales. And this is actually too many decimal points. 0.328. Well, yeah, that's right, 3 decimal points. Okay, then we're looking at doing a projection, what level of sales is necessary to break even. If we have fixed costs of $602,000 and a variable rate of 0.425. So the formula that we're using is this. Sales required is equal to fixed cost plus profit divided by contribution rate. And when we break even, profit is equal to 0. And then we have to realize that contribution rate is equal to 1 minus the variable rate. So when we do that math, we get a contribution rate of 0.575. And then when you go on further, the sales required would be $1,046,956.52. Yes. Is your contribution rate always what? Yes. Yes. Those two all have to add up to 1. That's how they're defined. Because they're based on your income statement, and it's your variable cost, which is your food, beverage, and some of your labor, and then it's your fixed cost plus profit that makes up the rest of it. So all of those things always add up to your total sales amount. Okay, so indicate whether each of the following is a fixed cost, a variable cost, or a semi-variable cost. So cost of food, cost of beverages are variable. Our occupancy cost, whether it's rent or mortgage, is a fixed cost. Employee benefits, that's a semi-variable cost because some of your employees are getting paid wages and some of them are getting paid salaries. So just like salaries and wages together are considered semi-variable. But if I had salaries separate, what kind of cost is that? Fixed. Okay, then interest is a fixed cost. Alrighty, so sales mix. We're just dividing the number of each item sold by the total number sold. I've got 7.3%, 10%, 13.1, 4.9, 6.5, 24.0, and 34.3. Any questions on that one? This is how I want it to be, like 1 decimal point and expressed as a percentage. Calculate appropriate menu price. If food cost percent you'd like is 25%, and food cost is $6.23. So we divide the food cost by the food cost percent, and you should get a number close to $24.92. Next one. For a restaurant to be profitable, the ratio of its total cost to total sales must not exceed 100% is the correct answer. When I was thinking about it, technically at 100% you're breaking even, so you're not profitable. So I will reword that question if I put it on the exam. Okay, now we have our income statement, and I just put my answers right onto the income statement. So I think it asks first for beverage cost percent, or I'm sorry, food cost percent. So it's the food cost of 562,000 divided by the food sales of 1,523,000. I get 36.9% for that. Now, I always want these out to 0.1%. So when I click on this, it shows what I'm dividing and what I'm dividing by. And then beverage cost percent. Very similar, beverage cost divided by beverage sales. So 191 divided by 504 gives us 37.9%. Now, as far as beverage cost percents go, is that a good one or a poor one? Pardon me? Yeah, you definitely want it lower. You want it closer to this number or lower. So if this were my business, I'd start looking at what's going on with the beverages. Then labor cost percent, we have to add salaries, wages, and benefits because that's our total labor cost. So those things added together, and then we divide it by total sales, and you should get 25.8%. Okay, then the profit is equal to total sales. We have to subtract all of the expenses, the total prime cost, and the total overhead, and we get $186,935. It's going to be your sales minus your expenses. So when you look at your expenses, like I have a total of prime costs here, and I have a total of overhead costs here. And I'm adding those two together and then subtract them from the sales figure. All right, so the rest of these are, we're using the same formula in each set. So calculate sales price. And there was a question like this earlier on the test. So to get the sales price from these two pieces of information, you have to divide the food cost by the food cost percentage. So $8.20 divided by 11% gives you $74.55. That's a very low food cost percentage, and that's why you have such a high menu price. It's hard to imagine what you could actually sell at that much of a markup. But all of these food cost percentages are very low. So for the second one, the answer is $14.17. And then the last one is $28.08. Okay. Questions on the calculating the sales price? Joe, do you have a question? So the next step, we want to calculate the food cost, and that's where we're going to take the sales price and multiply it by the food cost percentage. Okay. So $9.47 times 23% is $2.18. And 38.15 times 40% food cost is $15.26. $10 times 30% is $3. So anytime we have like costs and sales, our sales should always be like significantly higher than our costs, especially if you're looking at food sales and food costs, because you got a lot of other costs that have to be covered in that sales price. So in this case, last set, we're looking for beverage cost percent. So we're taking the beverage cost and dividing it by the sales. So $16 divided by $49 gives us 32.7%. The second one comes to 16.7%, and then the last one is 40%, $2 divided by $5. And then the last question, we have information and calculating the labor cost percent given the following information. So this is nice and straightforward. We got food sales plus beverage sales, get total sales of $225,000, and then add up salaries, wages, and benefits, and we get $53,200. So divide that cost of 53.2 divided by the 225, and you get a 23.6% labor cost. Now I'll show you something here. If I put down So if I add this piece of information in here, overhead expense of $45,000, does that change my labor cost percent? Hey, no, because that doesn't have anything to do. We have all the information we need. So sometimes if I'm being really tricky, I'll shuffle those numbers in a different order, and I'll include numbers that you don't need to do the calculation. And all you have to do is identify what is total sales, and then what is the labor cost. And here it's written on 3 lines: salaries, wages, and benefits. But it could be salaries and wages could be combined, benefits could be separate. We might only have 2 numbers to add. The point is, any other expense doesn't have anything else to do. Like if I put in food costs and beverage costs, that again is not going to affect the calculation for labor costs. Okay, I'm going to save this. And share it on Moodle. So you can go through it and see the formulas. I'm not sure. Yes. No, we're taking the exam in here. So that's why, like, if you came in late, I talked about a cheat sheet at the beginning of class, as well as in some of the other classes. You can take an 8.5, one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, front and back. You can type it, or if you can write smaller than your computer can print, you can handwrite it. As long as you understand what you have on it, you can bring that in here. You need to have a calculator to take the exam. I don't let you use cell phones to take the exam. So get a cheap calculator, and remember to bring it. Yes. It's similar. We're going to have another review on Tuesday that's going to include module 2. Well, I'll just kind of walk around and make sure you're not using something that you shouldn't be. No, it's like exactly like this. So as long as you understand all the things on here, you should do okay. And then plus what we go over on Tuesday. Any other questions? Module 2? Yeah. Okay, when you when you calculate your safety factor and you get like 23.5 or whatever, you round it up to 24. When that decimal point first shows up, you round that number up and just go forward from there. Okay. Don't answer. It's not worth any points. So I mean, if you want to answer it, you can answer it, but there's really no question. It's not going to penalize you if you accidentally type in an answer. Yeah, I did the average so it would be fair for everybody. And it was because of the storm and the interruption on it. It's like I know a lot of people were like in the process of taking it and it just kind of like cut me off. No, I normally only give one attempt. Okay, so let me see this here. Okay. So was it on this one or
And it's,
4.2?
yeah, it was for tomatoes. Or not all of the
It was both of these. So the reorder point is 3 times 5 times 1.5. Is that correct? Pardon me? Okay, let me get through this first. I want to make sure I'm even doing it right. Needed until delivery. So we don't use the safety factor here. Yeah, it's where we use the needed until delivery. This is where we would add the safety factor. I'll do that back in my office. Okay, so your question was about PowerPoints in the new rule. For module 2?
Yeah.
Okay. I edited the one that I did for chapter 5, and I guess I forgot to post it up there, so I'll put it up there. You could, of course, watch the video that's posted to me, right? And you would see it. Yeah, and if you don't know where those little videos are, they're like right here under this tab, lecture videos. If there's something that you're unclear on, you want to review, those things are up there for you to do that. But I will put up module 5 PowerPoint. Okay. Any other questions?